Hello everybody and welcome back to Fab Motorbikes. Today I'd like to give my top 10 tips for new riders on getting them through safely and into the world of motorcycling and allowing them to enjoy it to the absolute maximum. Let's get started. Before we get going, please give this video an early thumbs up. It helps push it to more and more people, and if you've been here a few times and not yet subscribed, please consider doing so. Thank you very much. Number 1. First of all, you really need to be financially aware of what this hobby or means of transport really costs. It's often thought of as a cheap way of getting around, but when you add up the gear, the insurance, the maintenance, the tax, it all gets quite pricey. So really just keep that in mind, that it's not quite as cheap as you think it's going to be. Number 2, leading on from number 1, is really invest in great gear. Because the fact is, when you're new to motorcycling, that's actually when you need it the most. Well, in fact, just a few months after being new. Because what will happen, you'll first get on there, you'll be pretty afraid to really do anything with the bike in particular. And but then a few months down the line, your confidence will skyrocket, but your ability will have barely changed at all. And that's when you really need a great helmet, great gloves, great boots. It's more important than ever when you're starting out. Spend the money on those things. Number 3, I'd recommend actually starting on a manual 125cc motorcycle. I actually started on a scooter, but that's actually kind of a dangerous move because they are literally just twist and go. But with manual bikes, you have engine braking and you have to get used to a clutch and having a brake pedal on your right foot, which you might not be used to if you're coming from bicycles. It also slows you down because you've got a little bit more to think about, and it also really helps you understand gears and the fact that with such a small bike you have a limited power range, so you have to get good at flowing up and down that gearbox to get the most out of it. They're quite cheap and readily available. Number 4, when getting your first bike, don't get a cheap piece of crap that is most likely to fall apart within 5 minutes of riding it. Really just, I know it's hard when you're new because you're young and you haven't got that much money, but try and just get a little bit more money together and spend a little bit extra. And I'd recommend a Japanese bike, one of the top 4, Suzuki, Honda, Yamaha, Kawasaki. They're just great bikes that don't cost that much money. I'd also recommend taking an experienced biker with you when going to buy this bike. It really helps with just looking at the small details, understanding mileage, service history, and making sure you're just not going to get ripped off by people because it's very easily done. And number 5, once you've got that bike, your new pride and joy, really try and get into motorcycle maintenance, because there are so many small things that are free to do that will make the quality of a ride go just so much higher, and you'll also be way safer. Things like understanding tyre pressure, chain lubrication and maintenance, and making sure it's as tight and as loose as it should be. Oiling the cables, checking your brake pads, make sure your brake discs are clean. A lot of these things are free, quite quick and easy to do, but if you don't do any of them, it really affects the handling or the way your bike works. And either A, it'll be a bit dangerous, or number 2, you won't learn as quickly, or number 3, you'll actually it might put you off biking because you're not getting quite the handling or the performance or the feel that you were expecting from your brand new motorcycle. Number 6, and I know this is a tough one because it's another thing that's quite expensive, is if you can afford to get fully comp insurance, get it. Because when you're brand new to motorcycling, you are just so likely to wreck your bike. It may not be in an accident with traffic, you just sort of might, honestly, you might just come off the road and you just may write your bike off, and it's just nice to have that influx of cash afterwards if that does happen. I know it's a tough thing to ask of people because it really, I know when you're new, it adds maybe even up to £500 onto your insurance premium. Maybe I'm just speaking from experience because I crashed my first scooter and the money I got from fully in comp insurance allowed me to go and buy my next bike. It wasn't a huge problem. It all just got sorted out. So if you can afford it, do it. It's just that little peace of mind that will keep you on the road. But I understand it's tough because it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. Number 7, really take it easy in the rain. It's a completely different ball game, motorcycling in the rain. I'm in the dry, I'm willing to lean over, take corners a little quicker, but in the wet, honestly, I'm a completely different rider now. I don't even, zero risk, barely lean at all. so easy on the throttle and brakes. It's just a completely different ball game. I say this because I remember coming off once in the rain, and honestly the reason why it happened is because I was very young. My mum had bought me a book about motorcycling, and in there was a picture of Valentino Rossi leaning over like that in the rain. And in my stupid teenage brain, I thought, well, if he can do it, I can do it. I thought, rain, schmain, whatever, I'm just going to lean around this corner and it'll be fine. And it wasn't. The wheel just slid out, spun out, and kind of went sliding down the road. So in the rain, don't take any risk. It's a completely different ball game. And now when it's snowing and icy, don't even get on your bike. It's just not worth the effort. I've done that too as well when I was a teenager. I thought, oh, the challenge of getting out on a motorbike in the snow and the ice. Oh, it's going to be so fun. No, it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun. It took me like 2 hours to do 5 miles. Just don't do it. Don't leave the house. Number 8. This is a tough one because I'm kind of doing it right now. I'm trying to give you advice. And I know that when you're new, getting advice is just, it's like painful. You don't want to hear it. But it's really worth just, like I said, taking an experienced biker with you to go and get your bike. Just listen to them. They are actually right most of the time, and it's just experience. But I was the same. You may not even listen to me. I didn't listen to older bikers because I thought, whatever, mate, whatever. Oh, God, I'll do whatever I want to do. It's my life, my bike. But they actually often have a lot of great tips. And number 9. Once you're past the 125cc stage and you have your full license and you're getting a bigger bike, here's something I don't hear very often, is I'd actually recommend on your first bigger bike getting a naked bike. Don't get one with a fairing and a windscreen. What that'll do is it will allow you the sensation of high speed, but the buffeting will keep that to a minimum. When you've got a fairing, you can kind of get in this down there in your cocoon and you don't feel it quite as much. With a naked, higher powered bike, you really feel the wind just hitting you and you feel like you're going a million miles an hour, but you're not quite doing the possible 130 miles an hour that new bigger bike could do. You will feel that sensation of speed at like 50, 60, 70, and you'll feel more exposed. You'll be more alert. I do think it's a great thing to do initially. Get a naked, bigger bike. And number 10, the final point, you need to remember that motorcyclists, like you, like me, will always have a thing for speed. You just need to learn responsibility with that speed. And one of the key things I learned from being a beginner to now, I do drive pretty quick occasionally, is that there's a time and a place for it. It's not all the time. Don't get out there and try and drive 150% all the time. It doesn't make sense. Right, as I ride now, I ride pretty conservatively and pretty slowly most of the time. But then I will also say there is a time and a place where I feel the environment is right and the risk is lowered considerably, where I will open it up and start to hammer it down the country roads a little bit. But you've got to learn there's a time and a place. Ideally, save it for a track day. But we don't all do that. We want to get out and about and explore the world. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching. As I said, give this a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. If you feel you've got any additional comments and ideas to add to this list, please give a comment down below. And of course, subscribe if you've not done so already. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.